You are tuning in to Pass the Wine podcast. I am your host, Alina Evans. This is episode 6, guys. I am sitting down with the beautiful and fierce Heather Frierson on this episode. This woman is on fire. She is the founder of Created Woman. She resides in Austin, Texas with her beautiful kids and husband. She's going to take us on her journey from having big dreams of working in New York City as a buyer in the fashion industry to a shift that she didn't see coming. Little did she know, God had other things planned for her life. Heather is that person that you look at and think, wow, where does she get it? The spunk, the energy, the confidence, the cute shoes, definitely the shoes. That was the first thing I noticed when I saw her speaking at a women's gathering on Wednesday night at Shoreline Church in Austin. I looked at my friend and said, I want those shoes. And man, in 10 years, I'd love to be where she is. She's just got it, right? When we're transparent, authentic, we tell our stories, we are raw and not afraid of what anyone thinks. There's this attraction and energy that, that just exudes and people think, gosh, I want to have that. But I honestly and truly believe that starts when you start becoming who God created you to be and who you think you should be and who you're in love with, and you're just genuinely being yourself. And so she is the perfect person to have on this podcast, and I'm so excited to be able to sit down with her and have her share her story with you guys. I know you're going to enjoy it. Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for joining us on Pass the Wine. I'm so excited that you're here with me today.
Hi, this is such an honor. I'm so thrilled to see you and to be with you, honestly. It's like full circle.
It is. It's such a blessing. And I made sure I had my favorite glass of wine with me tonight to kick us off. So I am officially passing the wine over to you.
I got it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So what is your favorite red wine? Do you have a favorite?
I like really dark and oaky, so I'm usually a Malbec or a Pinot Noir. I'm not a wine connoisseur, so I'm not going to be able to tell you names. Every time I go to a restaurant, I'm like, this is my taste buds. This is what I like. What do you have? And I just
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I met you, just so the listeners know, we met back in, I want to say 2010. We both attended Shoreline Church in Austin, Texas. And I was just telling you not too long ago how I first, how do I say this, made aware of you or knew of you, like you're a famous person.
No.
Well, you used to speak at the women's group on Wednesdays at Shoreline. And there was this one evening, me and my girlfriend went, and you were talking about your story and really your testimony and how far you've come and how God had a different plan for your life. And I just remember sitting there and feeling not only inspired, but motivated, and did gain some clarity as a woman, a young woman, because I want to say I was about 20, 21 at the time, what I wanted to be like in 10 years. And you really did set the stage and the standard for the kind of woman that I wanted to be. So to know that you created a foundation called Created Woman, it really is first full circle, and it's God's purpose for sure. So
Yeah.
my friend and I just left commenting on how cute your shoes were. You had these like really cute brown tan platform shoes, and we were like, where did she get her shoes? They're so cute.
That's what it's all about.
It was the shoes that caught our eye first. And we're like, oh, she's so stylish and she's inspirational.
Tell me that before we, started talking, and I had no clue, and I think, one, it's just such an honor, and I just want everybody to know that, it's such an honor to even know that happened 10 plus years ago now, and I didn't even know. And so just to thank you for just telling me. Thank you.
Yeah, you just never know, right? You never
You
know
never
who you're
know.
inspiring, you're influencing. You're
Mm-mm.
just going with what God tells you to do.
And
And
that was
yeah,
pre-Instagram. So,
I
you never
know.
know.
Exactly. Well, I mean, fast forward, I think it was maybe a year or two later, because I remember it had been some time, and I heard from you. You had contacted me about doing makeup for your first magazine through Created
Mm-hmm.
Woman, and I met Marina, and so it was like a
Yes.
friend of a friend referred me to Marina, and I know she was in the fashion industry at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and so we connected that way, and so then you reached out, and I mean, it was just an amazing project to be a part of. I
Mm-hmm.
still have those magazines.
Me
I think it
too.
was the first couple I did. I still have them,
Yeah.
and
You were on
they
the
were
first
still
photo
fun.
shoot we ever did.
I
Like you were
do.
the first few, but you were for sure. I know, like that whole group. I still see the picture that I'll come
Hmm.
across every now where we finished the shoot and we all got in Marina's kitchen and we did
Yeah.
a champagne toast. And that picture
Yes.
will remain with me in my memory forever. Just such a special, special moment and a special day. And you were a part of it and made it happen.
It was such an honor to be there, and I'll remember it forever. I know it was a
Hmm.
huge milestone for you, but
Yeah.
also for me to work with other like-minded women, and women of Christ, and to have
Hmm.
that mission in mind to serve other women, and just
Hmm.
the platform that you had. It was a lot of fun too. I met some really cool women during that
Yeah.
photo shoot too that
Me
I still
too.
keep in touch with.
Oh yeah, I talked to Marina today. Like we still talk all the time.
I
She's one
love
of my
her.
really good friends, and and I think that's just what the most beautiful part is. Like you're talking about being around like-minded women. When you get around women that believe like you do, that look to God and know
Mhm.
their purpose, or at least pursuing your purpose, they become lifelong friends. And even if we don't see each other all the time, who you can call and reach out to, because they're going to be the ones that's going to give you the solid advice, that's going to cheer
Mhm.
for you and be real. And I think that's just kind of the community we've built since day one with Creative Woman, of just building a community of women that equip and empower each other, but also pray for each other. And I remember
Mhm.
that day so clearly, of it being such a pivotal moment in our ministry. And watching you, you're just amazing. Like you are
Oh,
really,
thank
when
you.
you couldn't do makeup anymore, I was like, oh, she's so good.
Aw. My husband actually, maybe it's meant to be. My husband actually asked me that earlier today, believe it or not,
Oh,
just out of
really?
the blue. I was working, and he's like, so, oh, I know why. Because I'm looking at doing my skincare business remote, like offering some remote
Oh,
services.
uh-huh.
And he's like, why don't you do makeup anymore? You should start doing makeup
Yeah.
again. And I have thought about it. So we'll see.
I
I
mean,
might see.
skincare and makeup, they go hand in hand.
Exactly. I miss it so much. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun for me. So I definitely miss it, and I'm probably going to start doing it again.
Yeah.
Just
You're very good. Very good.
oh well, thank you. So
Yeah.
tell us about yourself. I mean, I know your story from hearing you
Hmm.
years back, but tell us um, how Created Women came to be. And
Yeah. It's been a crazy journey. So I'll just kind of give the highlights. But fashion was just in me from when I was little. Like I remember being in junior high, having to fill out our class coursework for high school, which I think is way too young to do, but I don't know. I did it. And I wanted to make sure that my senior year I had fashion classes. It was an elective. And it was just always, I'm going to New York, I'm doing this. I had this determination and still have this determination personality of, if I'm gonna do this. What is the fashion degree? They totally cheered me on, and I think maybe they knew that I couldn't be a doctor, a lawyer. They were like, well, for sure she can't do that, so maybe she can do this.
oh,
I don't know, but they cheered me on,
no.
and so went to school for fashion, and but grew up loving Jesus. I wasn't the perfect child by any means. Um, I was obedient, but very strong-willed. But I loved Jesus, and maybe got away from it during college. not where I should have been, but still pursued my career. And then after I graduated, I found my local church, which is what we talked about, Shoreline, and started volunteering there in the dance ministry because I'd grown up dancing too. And it wasn't long after, about 3 years, that I was in the working, managing at Saks Fifth Avenue, which I thought was my stepping stone to New York, to be, buyer and all these things that I wanted to do for Saks. I was definitely working my way up, that the church came calling. It's like, hey, we want to offer you a job. I was like, no, that's not my plan.
Very different, yeah.
Very different. Clothes in New York.
Church and kids. Yeah.
I don't think they go together. It's not my plan. Because I had my life planned out. I literally was like, I'm going to have to accomplish this in my degree or my career. Then I'm going to meet somebody. Then I'm going to get married. Then I'm going to have kids. Career was definitely before anything else in my life. I was the opposite of what girls normally are. They're like, I can't wait to get married. I was like,
that was me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just not on my priority list. And then, but that's what God had for me. And there was a lot of prayer and a lot of anger, a lot of questioning, but was very clear on that I was supposed to say yes to this job. Walked away from fashion, which I believe was giving up my dream. Totally given up my dream of what had been in me since I was like 11. And at this point, I'm like 26. So a good long time. But it was during that season that I really realized that I really hadn't pursued God and asking him what he wanted for my life. I had my goals and I had my dreams. I had my determinations, but I really hadn't asked him. I love Jesus. I went to church. I had my relationship with him, but it was over here. And it wasn't mixed, which is not how it's supposed to be, right? And so found my groove at church, realized I had a lot of gifts and talents I didn't know about, loved working in ministry. And after about 7 years, the Lord started putting fashion back at me. And I didn't know what that meant, but this passion started rising up. And he showed me women from a larger perspective, that as women, and what I loved about fashion was helping women, was helping them understand their value, their body shapes, what they look good in. And, even when I was managing and working with buyers, I loved when I got to help women one-on-one and make them feel happy. And what I started to realize in ministry is that goes so much deeper into our spiritual life and who we think we are and our identity. And so if we don't know our identity, it spills over into the outside, right? It spills out in the way we take care of our bodies, the way we value our relationships, who we're in a relationship with. And it all stems back to that identity in Christ. And so the Creative Woman started forming. I don't know how we got the name. I'm not kidding. I wish I would have written down. I remember telling a friend, and she was like, no, I don't think that's it. And I was like, no, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I just knew, but I don't remember it coming together. And it was helping women from the inside out, that once you know your identity and your dreams and your purpose that God has put in you, then you start taking care, then it's fashion, then it's health. And you start walking out his purpose inside and out.
That is so true.
It's almost like that job interview, what job do you have? And you need to show up dressed for the job. Kind of that same thing. And plus it's a lot of fun, but he showed me how we can have faith and we can have fashion and we can have a lot of fun. Just because we love Jesus doesn't mean we have to be boring. I totally don't believe it. And at the table, we talk about having a seat at the table, right? Well, we should have a seat at the table in every area.
And I love that. It's, it could go twofold too, right? Like you could be insecure on the outside or inside, but if you dress in not maybe really nice clothing, but you feel really good about what you're in, that can build confidence. Or, if you're working on the inside and you want to look it on the outside, it'll exude through your pores. And I mean, it could go either way, but I love what you've created.
Yes.
And, maybe because you were going through, your path with God and being created into this woman that He wanted you to be, it just like a light bulb went off and you're like, that's it. You just
Yeah,
knew,
it did.
which I think is amazing.
I just knew. And we're supposed to be ambassadors of
Yes.
Christ, right? So what does that look like? What does
Mm-hmm.
that mean? We're supposed to show up well and represent.
You're
And
doing a
I don't
great
mind
job,
that.
honey. So tell us a little bit more about Created Women. I know it's branched out quite a bit since I was involved years ago. What are you guys up to
Mhm.
now?
Well, one of our favorite quotes, mantras, maybe, is your purpose in life will never change, but your strategy will constantly change. And what that means is, whatever season of life you're in, your purpose is going to look different. Newly married, new baby, new whatever. And so we've had to transition and pivot a lot. For sure during COVID we did, but over the years, we had the magazine, and that was really how we kicked the door open. And we put that aside, or we put it on pause. I thought it was going to come back, and I'm not saying it won't ever. At the end of 2014, and really, the Lord just started showing us the next steps. I never saw anything where we are today. I saw a blog and those kind of things, but when COVID hit, we were in the middle of doing monthly events because our whole purpose is to help women discover their God-sized dreams and purpose and really equip them and empower them how to walk that out. But our monthly events went away. Like our last event, Alina, was the night before shutdown.
Wow.
It was a Thursday night, and hardly anybody was at our event. And we were like, why is nobody here? There's like 10 women. Is it this COVID thing? What's happening? It was crazy.
Oh, no.
And the next day, the
Wow.
world shut down. And so it was really weird and crazy for everybody. But as a business, I'm sure in general, it was like, what do you do? And so for us, after a little bit of a rest and pause and really just praying and digging in, really just felt like it was time to start doing something that we had dreamed of that we never had time to do. And it was to bring faith and fashion to women's door everywhere. Women were telling us all the time, I wish I live in Austin so I could come to your event, or, it's always on this night and my kid has this, or I work on there, whatever. Well, we've just put everything we used to do literally in a box and send it out once a month. And it's got a 7 to 8 day, it always varies, devotional, a unique, original devotional written by our team, a fashion piece that is either curated or from a women-owned business here locally. And then we just started this month, putting in an element called Gather Her at Home. And what that is, it allows you to get your box and get other friends to subscribe to our monthly box. And it has conversation cards so that you can talk about the devotional, have fun. It's got some fun questions too, fun activities, events, so that we can bring it to you. Yeah. It's been really fun. And it's just cool to see how we of course grieve not seeing women face to face. We know that's coming back. You grieve the loss of things. But we feel like this is an add-on. So even when we are able to have events again, this is not going away because we're reaching people in other states now that we would never would have reached. So I always encourage people to embrace that change of pace. And what is God doing now? What's your strategy now? Your purpose, we're still doing the same purpose.
Exactly.
It looks different. And so that's our main focus now is our faith and fashion boxes. We have weekly blogs that come out we're doing our thing. And
that's phenomenal.
Yeah, we have an awesome team. This is not a Heather show. I just want to say that.
Oh man, there's so much that goes into it. Oh, if people only knew. My gosh.
Well, and when you empower people, if we say let's empower people, then let them run in their lane.
And how was that for you starting a business as a young woman?
Yeah, it was crazy because I feel like I've been on a roller coaster. And that I've had to readjust every 5 years of who I am. I went to school for business and thought I am a businesswoman. This is what I'm doing. And then that got pulled out, and it was like, oh, I'm in ministry. Now I have to relearn and do
Mm.
ministry. And that's a totally different set of
Yeah.
rules, if you want to say. Totally different from going from a whole women owned Saks at the Avenue, to ministry, and trying to relearn that, and then going back into business and almost getting rid of a lot of ministry in a sense of, okay, but realizing I have to
Hmm.
combine those two things. And that's what's been a struggle for me, honestly. Even still now, I'll find things like, okay, I'm not doing this the right way, or I'm putting this in a box. This is not business, this is ministry, or this is both. And so it's really kind of it's hit my identity
Hmm.
several times throughout the years. And so I think that was been my struggle then, and I still struggle. And that's where I have to just always just say, what am I doing, Lord? Like
Yeah.
what's happening? But it was a struggle then. I'm certainly not perfect, and I think it's probably going to always be a struggle for me. Like, how do I do this business? Oh, ministry. Oh, business.
You're right. It is really just melting the two to be you really have created something that I think has molded into its own lane, right? You don't see, I haven't personally seen a lot of businesses that I can think about there that combine two, that combine faith, business, and
Yeah.
fashion. So you're kind of, I think, on the trend setting lane of doing that and making it your own and what God is calling you to
Oh,
do.
thanks.
But I know that, yeah, I can totally understand how that would be difficult because we often, put
Hmm.
them in different boxes. But if you notice, churches
Yeah, I
nowadays
do.
are starting to become more business-like in their operation.
Yeah. And I think I really identify with, I don't know if you know him, but I'm just going to throw it out there because everybody should read it. That's a creative entrepreneur and loves Jesus. But Jordan Rayner has this book called
Mm.
Call to Create. And he really talks about how the first thing we hear about God was that he
Mm-hmm.
created. And so he didn't say that he built a church and stood on a platform or was in ministry. He created us all with individual gifts and talents, and we're supposed to give our work back to him. And so even though I struggle with what am I doing today, it all comes back to what has God created me to do? And if that's accounting for other people or skincare or in the church, outside the church, a CEO, whatever it is, God's called you to that table. We say all the time, right? We hear it. It's been the trend. Pull a seat at the table.
Yeah.
Have a seat at the table. Well, your seat might be in a boardroom.
Yes.
And not to separate your faith and your work. They go together. Like that is literally, he's the best CEO you could
I
have.
agree. So I worked for, not directly for, but in an organization, University Federal Credit Union. When I lived in Austin, I worked there for about 7 years, and the president there is very open and transparent about his, belief in Christ and his values, and that's
Mm-hmm.
integrated very closely with the culture there. And so, of course, integrity is number one, doing the right thing. And that's something we would ask every single person
Yeah.
in our interview, different scenario type questions to feed off of integrity and our core
Yeah.
values. And so I absolutely agree with that. I think having, uh, having that belief in that faith, a strong faith, is going to take you to that next level. And not only to say that,
Yeah.
oh, if you believe in God, you're going to come out, at the top in front of everybody else.
Yeah.
But, it,
Right.
it just ties to doing the right thing and having those core beliefs that make you a well-rounded person
Mm-hmm.
that ultimately, whether that's a seat at the table
So
or
true.
you want to have your own baking business or, whatever it is you want to do,
Right. You could be the one serving the table.
you're still
You're
at the
still
table.
at the
That's right. And
table.
people are going to look to you for advice and those sorts of things. So,
Mm-hmm.
what else are you tapping into? Do you have any other interests? Have you gained any other hobbies now that we've been on shutdown?
Yeah, I think what's so cool about this whole journey has been, I said earlier how I had to give up fashion. And of course I combine it in the ministry, but it was about 3 years ago that the Lord started really giving that back to me in a bigger way. And we have launched or in the process, we just got our samples of launching a for-profit clothing line. So yes, I get to bring what I learned at college. We won't say how long ago, and in designing clothes. And what it's a mission-driven business to where percentage of those sales will benefit the foundation, the ministry. And I really struggled with it when I felt like the Lord was giving me back, because I knew I'd run ahead so many years before and not asked him, like, what do you want me to do with this fashion thing? And I really feel like this is what I want to encourage people with. Like, ask God from in every stage. Like, I regret not really leaning into what the Lord had for my life at an early age, because who knows, he might have put fashion as a designer in me earlier to make an impact. But my goal was about me. It was about me climbing the corporate ladder and had nothing to do with him. And now he's giving me my dream back of having a fashion label, but it's for a purpose. And, and so that's what's been so cool. And that's what I want to encourage women that all the time women that are listening is, he might be asking you to put down a dream that you think is the biggest thing ever, but just to trust and know that he'll give it back to you in a bigger, better way. I would have never dreamed, this is 2021, 2003, when I walked away 18 years. I can't do math.
It's been a long time.
In a long time, that I'd be getting like on the phone with the manufacturer. I just received our samples Friday, and I would have never dreamed that it would have looked like this. So that's what we're doing new. It's a CW Collective is the brand. And right now we've got wholesale as we are trying to get our manufacturing up and running. Okay. So our samples are good to go. We just need to move them into manufacturing. And until then, we've got some wholesale things to keep them, the thing
all those
going.
moving parts, yes.
All the moving parts.
Do you guys have a date on when you'll have them ready to purchase?
I have a soft goal. That's September. What I loved actually about last year and being the pause is that I was able to take my time on choosing manufacturers, choosing fabrics, doing all the things, and I didn't have a pressure of a launch date. And so I'm kind of sticking to that a little bit. Like, no one's waiting on it but me. I mean, there are people waiting on it. I mean, like, it's going to benefit the foundation. So in the end, it's going to do a lot of good. But, when you think of fashion, you want to launch spring fashion, March or fall.
I know.
So I'm choosing September.
That is so true.
March is too soon for me. It's too soon.
That's funny.
But it's going to be for the classically edgy woman who is socially conscious. I'm a classic girl. You're not going to see me in a lot of different colors other than black. I have some of the same pieces in my closet for the past 5-6 years, and I mix and match a lot of it, but I like a little bit of leather and leopard.
Oh, I know. Me too. Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
So what advice do you have for young women that maybe want to be in your shoes one day and they're thinking about creating a business?
Yeah. I think the biggest things I've learned over the years is to really ask a lot of questions. And don't be afraid to ask, but hire the people that are better, that do things better than you. And that might be an accountant. That might be a social media person. But when we try to do it all ourselves, and that hire might be just a friend that believes in your mission too. But take someone with you and never stop asking questions. I think even this year I'm learning that, and I've been doing this for Creative Woman over 10 years. It's almost 11 years that there's some things I still don't know how to do, and I need to get help. And I just don't ever feel like I'm ever going to arrive, and it's okay. And I think when we're young, we think we can't tell anybody. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to do it.
I know. Nobody knows.
What we're doing. Nobody knows.
We're all trying to figure this thing called life out together.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out. So just, give the same way you want someone else to give you advice, and just get wisdom. Go get wisdom. Write it down. And that's the other thing I'm learning. My favorite scripture is Habakkuk 2:3 is write it down, make it plain, so that whoever reads it can run with it. And for me, that used to be journaling, like write it down. Well, I'm writing it down. I'm writing down the vision. But there was that aha, like, no, whoever reads it can run with it, which means no one's reading my journal, but they are reading my business plan, my QuickBooks, all those business things that someone needs to write down and they can run with your business. So it's been a huge switch for me from being like, oh, I'm just journaling to no, I need to write down this process so that other people can do the same thing.
So where can I'm gonna shuffle back here a little bit. Where can our listeners purchase a subscription box?
Oh yeah, thanks for asking. So everything is on createdwoman.net, and that's CREATED woman, WOMAN. So like you are the created woman. You are created in his image. And so if you go there, right there on the first page, there's a button to I want to subscribe. And if the cool thing about it is that if you subscribe this week before January's up, you'll get the January box. So we do 6-month kind of cycles because we have 6 principles we teach on in this order: dreams, healing, identity, purpose, health, and fashion. So this month kicked off dreams, and then we'll kick it back off again in July. And so, but we're keeping the boxes open longer since we added the gather her at home element. So we're working all those details out that hopefully will be ready even by February. But if you subscribe between now and the end of January, you'll for sure get the January box. And it's really cool. It's all about dreams. And, you know, we've been saying this whole season, it's been a crazy year, right? Everything is so unknown, but what's not unknown is that God is not on pause and he still has a plan and a purpose for your life. So don't wait. I just say, don't wait. Get the box, discover what God has for you in this season, because girl, he might be calling you to a different table.
That's right.
Know what's going on.
Girl, you've been sitting in the wrong conference room.
Yeah.
So speaking of gathering with other women, I know this is something I had to learn how to do early on, just being a single mom before I met my husband, and, you know, juggling work and things that I enjoy doing and spending time with my, you know, little girl, big girl now. She's 15 now. She'll be 16 this year. I know. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Crazy. I remember she used to be Marina's model. She'd be like a protege. Yeah. And Marina's like, oh, she's a little protege. I'm like, oh God, don't fill her head up. I
just remember her following you around at church behind you.
Doing cartwheels in the aisle, being bad. So how do you, I had to do what worked for me as far as like setting boundaries and just, you know, just trial and error over time. But how do you, I mean, gosh, you know, working in Created Women, spending time with friends, you have a husband, kids. How do you personally go about making sure that you have a good balance in your life? If you do, do you have a good balance?
On days, certain days. But, you know, for my personality, being around friends is really my self-care. Like, I need it. So that's something that comes naturally for me, because if I don't have conversations, girls' night, coffee, whatever it may be, I start feeling it. So that's really a self-care for me. And like, you know, I think you just have to get creative. I know I have some friends that we do a weekly get together on Wednesday mornings. We've been doing it forever, and during COVID we couldn't, but we were like, but we're still meeting. We hit that Zoom button and we still met every week. And thank God for, you know, FaceTime and text messages. And I just, you know, think that when you're thinking about someone, just send them a text message all the time. And that's really just how I sometimes keep a relationship. But for me, it's not that hard, because I have to have that. That is my fuel, is to be around other women. So I just figured it might be early morning, it might be lunch, it might be this right here, me and you late at night, or, you know, bring the kids, do what you got to do, but get that girl time.
Awesome.
Yeah, because everybody's in the same boat. Like, you find your friends are even in the same season of life. So just bring the kids.
Yeah. Do what you got to do to make it work. No judgment.
Go to McDonald's, let them play in the playground, Chick-fil-A, and you have a moment.
That's right. Yeah, you got to make it work. I mean, Yeah, that was
Yeah.
me for like 12 years. She came with me everywhere.
I mean, I would love all the fancy dinners and, Instagram pictures. And I have that maybe every now and then, girls' night out. But sometimes it's
Yeah.
just like, hey, come over. The kids are going to go to bed at 8:00. Come over and have a glass of wine with me.
I think
Whatever.
that's self-care for me too. That's a good one. And I'd even think about it like that. But that's a self-care, I guess, thing for me too, is just taking like time out to dress up, to, do my makeup, to feel good, to feel pretty, go out there and just like have dinner with my girlfriends or date night with my husband and feel like an adult, because I feel like I'm at Chuck E. Cheese every day.
Driver too. So it's like, but you know what? I sometimes during taxi driving, once I drop off my kids wherever they're going, like today, my daughter had Huntington tutoring, and so I don't stay with her. So that's when I make my phone calls on the drive back. I might call somebody like, "What's up? I've got 5 minutes."
That is a great topic. So I want to ask you about that, about time management, because that's something that I'm personally working on. Now that I'm going back to school and having to juggle another puzzle piece in the mix. What is your recommendation for that as far as working on your time management? Do you have any tips for us?
Phrase that has been that I feel like the Lord has given me the past 2 years that I have to keep really on it is organize the overwhelmed. And I have seen, I am that personality. I'm a high D on the disc, if you know what that means, which is direct, do it, all the go do it. And so if something good comes up or something I feel like is a great idea, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Do it right now. Let's do it right now, right now, right now, right now. Well, then I have all these right nows on my plate. And that's not good. And so what the Lord has been showing me is like, when you start feeling overwhelmed, organized, overwhelmed, even this morning, I had so many things on my to-do list, or last night I started feeling the pressure. Like, we were out of school yesterday. So today I knew it was like Monday morning. I started feeling the list. And so I had just decided when I went to bed, in the morning, Lord, you're going to have to tell me what to do tomorrow because I'm overwhelmed. And it was that organized the overwhelm. And I had to just write everything down and like, what is really, what's going to feed the purpose and feed my family? But I don't, other than just really asking the Lord, I am not the best at it, to be honest with you. I want my schedule is full. I want everything done tomorrow. Should have been done yesterday.
I'm not surprised.
I have people in my life. Yeah. I have people in my life that I have to say that's a great idea for next year. So maybe that's the tip. Make sure if you're the doer to have people in your life that says that's a great idea for later.
Do you know who Kevin Oakes is? I just learned about this guy this weekend. I listened to a podcast episode by Brene Brown at Dare to Lead, and he was a guest on this episode, and he mentioned the same thing and having the same issue, and said that he had to learn how to put things up on the whiteboard. His problem is he has too many ideas, too many thoughts. And he's learned to not delegate, to put things on the back burner, or, like you said, that's a great idea for next year. So that's a plug-in right there. That was a really good episode. It reminds me of that.
I have to listen to it.
Yeah, it's super good. You'll really like it. What is something that you wish somebody would have told you growing up?
I think one of the things is it's okay to pivot. I feel like when we're young, we think we have to make these lifelong decisions, and you have to make the decision for what the Lord wants you to do in this season, and just to be okay with that life changes, circumstance changes, and and just to be okay to pivot.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can always go back. You can always go back. Especially in business. Like, what, that didn't work. Get some wise people around you to help you make the decisions. And then if it doesn't work, just be okay to pivot. Tweak it.
Well, fire drill questions. Yeah. So I think, we heard your story. We know a little bit about what you're working on with Created Women. So I want to do some random questions with you, just to spice it up a little bit, make it fun. So tell us
Okay.
something about you that nobody knows or would be surprised to find out.
Girl, you had that question. I could not think of anything. So I'm trying to think. I think now, like 10 years after the fact, some people don't know that I was a
Mm.
dancer and taught dance until I was 35.
Oh,
So some people listening might go, of course, but there's a lot of people even now like, you dance? I'm like, yes, until I was like
wow. I had no
35.
idea.
So
What kind of
long time.
dancing?
Well, when we met each other at Shoreline, I was the
Oh, I
dance
didn't know
director at
that.
Shoreline.
Okay. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So anything that you used to see in our productions when we were there, where it was ballet
Hmm.
or hip hop or whatever,
Oh my
I did it.
gosh, I would have
I was the
never
choreographer.
guessed. Not that you have rhythm, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not know that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So if you could,
Yeah. Something hopefully that I can get
I
back
love
to
dancing. Like
soon
even if it
too.
were to take a class
Mhm.
just at a studio, I would love that. It's
Yeah.
so therapeutic.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
It is. I miss it. I miss it. My
Oh,
body
I
misses
bet,
it.
especially dancing for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is
Yeah.
your favorite kind
Yeah.
of dance?
You know, as when I was younger, it was, hip hop and the fast jazz. But as I got older, I really like storytelling through dance. So lyrical and modern are my favorite classes to take.
Oh,
Body
yeah.
movements. You just feel the music and it's always a story and
That's so
I love it.
beautiful. I think that's one of the most like poetic, beautiful dances you can watch. It's so
Mhm.
memorizing. If you could be anything in
Yeah.
this world, what would you do?
Haven't changed much since I was like 10. I think I'd be a major fashion designer
Okay.
and want my stuff at, New York Runway, Fashion Week in Paris and all that. I would not mind if the Lord was like,
You
you
were
can
right
have
on
that too.
that, Heather. Here you go. Sure.
You can meet Anna Wintour and Anna Wintour would say, you're great. You're a great designer. I'm
I
like, who doesn't
know.
want that?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. You're on your way. I mean, you're ready, coming out with a for-profit clothing line. I'm sure next you're going to be designing clothes, girl. You're on.
Girl, I'll take it.
So if
I'll
you could do
take it.
anything for a week, and you may have done this during COVID, but if you had the freedom to do
Mhm.
absolutely anything you wanted to do for a week, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. Honestly, I would love to be by the beach, a really pretty beach, and just read and hang out with girlfriends and my family and husband. Just that is always my favorite go-to vacation. I just want to sit
Hmm.
here, read a good book, have a glass of wine,
Yeah, relax.
and do all the
Yeah.
things. Yeah, like that.
Is
That
there a
is heaven to me.
particular beach
Yeah.
destination that's your favorite or that you would like to go to?
For the first time, 3 years ago, I went to Hawaii for the
Mm,
first time three
what
years ago.
part?
I could. It was
Nice.
Maui, and I've never like that's the first place I've ever been where I wasn't ready to come home. Usually we're like ready to come home, like I'm ready to get back into the routine, like you're tired of
Yes,
vacation. You know how
yeah.
that feeling is sometimes? I was like,
That's on our bucket list,
I'm gonna
Maui.
stay here for
Yeah. Is the
yeah,
water really
yeah.
clear? Is that true?
Right. It's very clear and really because that's my dream vacation is just sitting there on the
Hmm.
beach and reading a book. Literally, that's all we did. Like we would get up like probably 6 p.m. and get dressed and go have dinner. And that's
Wow.
it. And then the whole day we by the beach. Like that's all we went hiking one day. But out of all the places, which we haven't been like overseas travel, I'm not this big traveler. Um, but yeah, I could do
So
it all
did
the
you guys
time.
stay at a beach house or is it a resort?
No, we stayed in this
Okay.
hotel and it was so beautiful. I wish I could tell you what it was, but I have no clue. I don't remember stuff like that. But it was gorgeous. It was so gorgeous. And the cool thing that my husband and I do is that we work well together. I'm an early riser and he's a
Mm-hmm.
late person. So even on vacation, I'll be up 3 or 4 hours
Oh,
before him. So I would go get my book, my coffee, and
oh,
go sit on the beach by
perfect.
myself without
Yeah,
him
that worked out great.
and have Heather time. I know. And then he would wake up, and then we'd spend the day together. And I'd be in bed by 9, and he would do his
Oh,
thing or whatever.
yeah.
I don't know. Like we had our alone time
So
and
are
our
your
couple
kids early
time.
risers or do they like to sleep in? Okay.
One of them is. One is an early riser, no matter what time she goes to bed, and so which means she's cranky if she when she
Yeah.
doesn't go to bed on time. And the other just kind of gets her sleep in. No, she takes the full
Mhm.
8, 9 hours, no matter
Isn't
what
that
time she goes
funny?
to sleep.
Whenever there's two kids involved, they're always the opposite. They're always a polar opposite. That's so weird,
Yeah.
but true.
Yes. But I've taught them at an early age, if mommy has coffee, I'm not home yet. Don't,
I know that is so sweet.
you can ask me for breakfast, but nothing else. Don't ask me to play. Don't ask me to do anything. I'll fix you breakfast. I'll feed you. But I'm
I
still
know
drinking
that is so
coffee.
true. That is the first thing I do is make my coffee, start that coffee pot. Oh, I'm there with you,
Mhm.
girl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got to have it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Heather. It was a pleasure getting to talk to you, and nothing but blessings to
Thank
you.
you.
And I know my mom was actually asking about your subscription boxes, so I'll make sure to include the link
Oh, yeah.
on the YouTube channel in the comments section so people can check it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's so good to see you. Of course, I watch you
Yeah.
all the time. I feel like social media keeps everybody close, but I'm so happy for you and everything that's been happening with your life the past
Oh,
2
thank
years. I
you.
love it. I
Same to
love
you,
it. Just so happy
Heather.
for you.